What's happening, my beautiful people? My name is LaBelle. Welcome back to the YouTube channel. As you may see right here, we have the brand new beautiful people. Snapback, 3 colorways. The maroon on the maroon. Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. That's embroidered. The green, hot fuego. And I have one other colorway that I might do some giveaways with. Just gonna leave that there. And then of course the black that you see on yours truly. Everything is linked below. If you want to get involved, you want to support, this is our second release throughout the collection. It would be amazing. It's a great way to support the channel. Plus, I think these are dope. You can let me know. Today we're leaning into career mode, and I'm not gonna front for you as if the last 2 or 3 FIFA installments that I've been invested, but this is where I got started, where everything began for yours truly. It was not as a pro FIFA player, but playing career mode. For many years, we've seen a slow progression with career mode. There are some major announcements this year in particular. That's what we're gonna cover. If you want more of this, you want people to see how we articulate things, please drop some love on the video. YouTubers don't just say that because they want to say that. It's important for the algo. You gotta feed the algo. And then comment below. Do you play career mode? What's your FIFA story? Will you be making a return to career mode if you've taken some years off? Most of us transitioned or transcended or got involved with Ultimate Team to a certain degree. Just from a customization, the updates, the amount of effort that EA has put into Ultimate Team is unparalleled. You can't even measure it to other game modes. It's just so far ahead. That's fair to say. That's not new information. Let's begin. Create your club. Additional customization, always good looks. Let's open up the boardroom for discussion. In FIFA 22, you now have the ability to create your own team and manage your career, which is something I know a lot of you have been passionately requesting over the years, and I understand. It's interesting that this article, a personal tone to whoever put this together versus it being a big collective or a group. Many of you will say this should have already been there, that it's a long time coming, outdated. I understand. I hear you. I know the criticisms. I look at Reddit. I read through social media daily. Club identity. Club's name, nickname, commentary team. We've seen this in Ultimate Team. It's not that I'm not going to spend any time, but that's just the reality of the scenario. Crest customization. Also, something that is inevitable here. And you should have this. It should always be a build out. A real deal, Holyfield build out. I want the colorways. I want the forms of expression. I want loud. I want something exclusive. We're really excited to bring stadium customization into career mode. Similar to pro clubs. If you saw the previous video where we really took a deeper dive into what's happening in the pro clubs world, this was another one of those announcements. And it is once again just a delay from Ultimate Team. It's a slight lag. That's the reality, as that foot gets higher priority. And I do feel that EA is looking to take a lot of the elements, or at least some of the elements from Ultimate Team, and now applying it to other game modes. Squad builder. This is big. A brand new team needs players, and that's why my favorite part of Create Your Club is the squad builder. I can't believe this is written in that perspective, as it's an individual. Does anybody else think that is a little bit strange? Because it's not a singular person who ever creates anything in FIFA or at EA. It's gonna be a big team, a massive team. Is this article written by an individual? Is that somewhere going to be claimed? Is it at the bottom end? I don't know why this is triggering me. A brand new team needs players, and that's why my favorite part of Create Your Club is the squad builder. Here you will be able to populate your new team with a starting group of players. When generating these players, you have control over the squad star rating and the average age of players. It takes into consideration the league and the demographics, how many different types of nationalities, and how that all mixes and matches in, that aligns with what else is happening within that league. I think we nailed that as a way of being concise and not having to read 2 paragraphs to all of you beautiful people. By the way, pick up the hat. Pick up the hat. Your squad is going to be very unique from both adding additional longevity, and then content creator wise, you can get sort of wild when you're going through expectation, transfer budgets, squad age, the creation of a bunch of different players. Last but not least, from this section, we have board priorities. I don't think we have to jump off a cliff here to go through a bunch of the details of the deeper dive. Some of this is very intuitive. Whether you're domestic or you have regional priorities, everything's influenced by how good is your team, what league do you play in, and then those objectives and expectations fall in line. And perhaps the difficulty that you're playing on maybe also comes into this equation, the career mode equation. I could be wrong, but that would make sense, at least in my mindset, if you wanted a more difficult or challenging experience, that the expectations are higher, even with maybe, let's say, some limited resources. You're gonna outplay your opposition though. My player, also known as player career mode. And this was always kind of my bread and butter. Biscuits, gravy, all inclusive. I love the concept of going from top to bottom with an individual, having that expression, creating myself in a game and being able to replicate. Especially if you watch a bunch of football, that's kind of your ambition at some point growing up in your youth, your adolescence. You're saying, I could be a pro football player. That reality hasn't set in, that it might not be possible. Your ability might not be where it needs to be. Your athleticism, you need more of it. Plain and simple. Let's cover the changes. Player career. We've made significant changes and updates to player career in FIFA 22 in order to refresh the mode and make your player journey more memorable. Fair play. Coming on as a sub, it is incredible that this was not a function. Almost mind-boggling that you did not have access to being a substitute, especially considering if you go to a big club, you're not just gonna walk into that team. You're not getting minutes. You'll be loaned out of there. You're gonna get on that transfer market. You're not completing any objectives. It's not possible. You have to be able to build your way in. Prove yourself to the manager, to the club, to your teammates. You're trustworthy. Now you can be the super sub they dream about. Here's an example of course, making that change. That substitution, on the pitch you go. And then I love this match objective scenario, which you can see on this freeze frame, and I'm going to talk about it a little bit more. This is how you can grow your player and also become more valuable for the club, the manager's perspective, a way that you can measure your results if you're not just scoring goals and getting assists. Even though I will say score at least one goal, not easy as a super sub. Even more so if your player is kind of suspect. Manager rating, growth of trust, objectives to be complete. That's going to be a theme. If you haven't noticed, everything is shifted into objectives, and in both pro clubs and career mode, they've taken this pathway of having archetypes and perks. Not the kind of perks you're thinking about, and skill trees, just that entire development, and more choices as to where you want to allocate points, what type of pro you want to establish, you want to replicate. We talked about performing positively. On the opposite side, of course, if you perform negatively, you're not completing your objectives on a regular basis. Depending on the club and the league and the results, you might be seeing a transfer or a loan. Could be going elsewhere. Just to reiterate, we have those match objectives. Something that I really like about the match objectives is that they are also announced as you walk onto the pitch. So you don't know previously what's going to be the situation in terms of completion or having a standout performance. I like the surprise, and I hope that EA got creative with these objectives so it's not a rinse, wash, repeat every single time that you walk onto the pitch. Onto the pitch, apparently these objectives are generated out of 3 factors. Your playing position, where you naturally play, the quality of your team compared to the opposition. You get the idea. If you're running with Real Madrid, then you're expected to always play well and get wins and just be a standout organization. There's that iconic status, the built-up history, versus if you pick a lesser known club and the role on that team, and then the formation your team is using compared to the one of the opposition. This is somewhat intriguing because if you're playing more attacking or more defensive, it would impact the expectation, which I get from a tactical standpoint or a managerial role, and this aligns for my mental, from a practical or a logical viewpoint, but we're still looking at a video game. Skill trees, perks, archetypes, create a player, this section, this portion of the career path. I'm not going to spend too much time here because we have discussed this on multiple occasions, but it is a shift as a whole from the franchise. Player growth. specifically created players. In FIFA 22, Player Career features an overhaul player growth system that puts the development of your created players in your hands. It's all about earning experience points, XP, and leveling up your player as you progress throughout your career. And something I've never loved is when EA uses the word overhaul. It's been a common reoccurring buzzword, it feels like, for the past 7 or 8 years. And sometimes it's authentic, it's genuine, it's true, it's all facts. However, in other announcements, we haven't seen the offensive overhaul or the defensive shift or things becoming extremely manual. EA has used that word overhaul and it has been one shift, one change, nothing dramatic. Leveling up and earning XP, I don't feel that we need to break down what this looks like. It's really not the focal point or the spotlight or the takeaway. In my opinion, we know how match rewards and training and objectives are gonna go. If you'd like an example, it's on screen. Or maybe I should be pointing this way. We're going upward. You get an idea. You had a match, you got the rating, objectives, they're complete, substantial growth. Skill tree. And I don't want to say this is brand new as a function, that we've never seen this before, but with the addition of the archetypes and perks and shifts amongst the skill tree, you are getting more forms of individualism. We want to ensure that player growth is in your hands. Attribute increases are significant and offer a noticeable improvement in gameplay, as they should. Most of you should be familiar with some sort of screen like this, whether you played a little bit of pro clubs or you've been grinding through FIFA. Even though this is separate to Ultimate Team, we've never had this level of development in Ultimate Team because you cannot shift the players that have already been pre-established. What the rating looks like, they're not dynamic. You might get new iterations of foot items. In fact, you definitely will, and promos, but that is a set measurable, a set value. It cannot shift based on performance. Perks, previously discussed in the Pro Clubs video. If you want that breakdown in a little more depth, watch that video, run that back. You can equip these perks and it gives you competitive advantages. Some perks can even boost your teammates, so it's up to you to decide if you want to invest everything in your own abilities or bolster the team ahead of an important derby match. You can get a quick glance at some of the perks and what's really available for you. If you want to read through a full list, attacking perks, chance creation perks, defensive perks, and goalkeeper perks, how overpowered is this 15-minute period going to be? That is a common theme and trend when you read through a bunch of the perks, regardless of the category. I put this section as cosmetics. This is new animations, loading screens, atmosphere, ambiance. You appreciate it, but it is not going to shift how much you play the game, that overall investment, at least not in my opinion. Dressing room atmosphere. Perfect example. Play the clip. Is this a good addition? Is this something that you'd like to have? Sure. But it's the same situation. Are you going to play more FIFA because you've got Alisson celebrating in the locker room? Probably not. Transfer updates. More of the same. You have new animations. But I will say, from a career mode standpoint, this is still important that you have these moments and that they feel as if you're being represented properly. This is a game changing or career shifting, maybe the biggest moment of your virtual career, and you don't want it to just be a loading screen. Expanded stories. One of our goals for FIFA 22 is to better celebrate achievements and career milestones. As you complete some of these accolades, you're going to receive notice, announcements. It's more integrated into the simulation and the experience. Dynamic tifos, once again, fits into the cosmetics. It is another visually stimulating portion of when you're loading into a matchup. I do really enjoy tifos though. Thanks again for watching. If you enjoyed everything, make sure to slap some love on the video. Remember, linked down below. And these will not be available for that long. Maybe a month at best. So if you want to support the channel directly, you want to get involved, bam, that's crispy and green, no doubt. Maroon, change your life. And then of course the classics, everything embroidered. But I have a lot more content coming out ASAP.